My name is María Elena Alvarez. For 3 years I cared for Lucas Morrison as if he were my own son. I was the nanny for the wealthiest family in Miami. But on November 12, 2019, in just 30 seconds, my entire life crumbled. I turned my back for half a minute. That's all. When I looked back, Lucas had disappeared. The police interrogated me for hours. His mother called me a monster on television. His father offered a $500,000 reward, but made it clear they thought I was involved. I lost my job. My face was everywhere. I received death threats. I became the most hated woman in the United States. But 3 days later, the truth came out. And when that happened, a battle began that would change my life forever. This is the story of how I lost everything, fought for justice, and found something I never expected: love. My full name is María Elena Alvarez. I was born in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. I came to the United States in 2010 with a work visa. I left my 2 children with my mother because here I could earn in 1 month what it would take me a year to earn in Honduras. In 2016, I got a job as a live-in nanny for the Morrison family. Richard Morrison was a real estate tycoon. His company was worth over $200 million. Amanda Morrison was a former model and influencer with nearly 1 million followers on Instagram. Lucas was a year and a half old when I started. I would wake up at 6 in the morning. I would make his breakfast. I would bathe him. I would teach him his first words. Amanda and Richard were always busy. I was the one who stayed with Lucas. When he turned 3, his first complete sentence was in Spanish. Mama Maria, Tango Hamburger, Mommy Maria, I'm hungry. I loved him like a son. I earned $2,200 a month. I worked 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. But I didn't complain. Every month I sent $1,000 to my children in Honduras, until November 12, 2019, when it all ended. November 12th, Tuesday. Mrs. Morrison had a photo shoot. Mr. Morrison was in New York. Lucas and I went to Dolphin Mall to buy shoes. It was 3:17 p.m. We were sitting near the aquarium. Lucas was eating ice cream. My phone rang. It was Mrs. Morrison asking about laundry. The call lasted less than 30 seconds. I turned my back because the aquarium was noisy. When I turned it off and turned around, Lucas was no longer there. I looked around. I called his name. I ran to the nearby stores. Nothing. 3 minutes later, I ran to the mall security. They activated Code Atom, the protocol for missing children. I called 911. The police arrived in 5 minutes. Then the detectives came. One of them, Mark Sullivan, took me to a private room. Are you sure you don't know where Lucas is? He asked. I swear on my children's lives. I don't know where he is. The problem, Miss Alvarez, is that you're the last person seen with Lucas Morrison. And the cameras don't show anyone picking him up. That night, the Morrisons held a press conference. Amanda, in a black dress with red eyes, said, Lucas was in the care of our nanny, María Alvarez. We trusted her. And now our baby is gone. A reporter asked, is the nanny considered a suspect? Richard looked at the camera. The police are investigating all possibilities. My face was all over the news. CNN, Fox, every channel. The headlines: Nanny loses child in mall. Honduran immigrant under investigation. Social media exploded. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Thousands of messages per minute. She sold that child. Don't trust illegal immigrants with your children. Someone leaked my address. I started receiving death threats. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of breaking glass. Someone threw a rock through my window. I was the scapegoat. And there was nothing I could do about it. November 14th, 3 days later. A motel maid found Lucas alone in a parking lot in Miami Gardens. Scared, hungry, but alive. He was taken to the hospital. He was fine. Mild dehydration, a few scratches, nothing serious. Detective Sullivan called me. We found Lucas. He's alive. And Mrs. Alvarez, we found who took him. I arrived at the police station. Sullivan showed me security footage I didn't know existed. Camera on the ceiling, wide angle. The video showed everything. Me with my back to the camera on the phone. A man approaching Lucas. offering him something. Lucas taking his hand. And in 15 seconds, they disappeared together. His name is Thomas Brennan, Sullivan said. 41 years old. He's a known criminal. He's been involved in kidnapping for ransom cases. He caught Lucas planning to ask the Morrisons for money. But Lucas wouldn't stop crying. He panicked and abandoned the boy. Ms. Alvarez, you did everything right. You are a victim in this case. We apologize. The police held a press conference announcing the arrest. Sullivan stated clearly, María Alvarez is not a suspect. She is a victim. The Morrisons issued a written statement. We acknowledge that María Alvarez was not involved. Any misunderstanding is regrettable. Misunderstanding. No apology. No acknowledgement of what they did. But the damage was done. My name was ruined. Nobody would hire me. I spent 6 months unemployed. Then I got a job cleaning houses for $15 an hour. And that's when I met Daniel Reyes. Daniel Reyes was 38 years old. A lawyer specializing in civil rights and defamation. He read about my case and contacted me. Mrs. Alvarez, he said when we first met, what they did to you was unfair. And I want to help you sue for it. He was tall, with black hair and brown eyes. He spoke fluent Spanish. His family was from Mexico. But what impressed me wasn't his appearance. It was his anger. They publicly destroyed you, he said. Amanda and Richard Morrison accused you without proof. The media published lies. You are entitled to compensation. And I will fight for it. In October 2020, we filed 2 lawsuits. One against 3 major media outlets for defamation. Another against the Morrison family for wrongful termination, defamation, and emotional distress. For 9 months, Daniel worked tirelessly. He gathered evidence. He interviewed witnesses. He analyzed every headline, every post, every accusation. And during those 9 months, we grew closer. He would come to my apartment to discuss the case. He would bring coffee. He would ask about my children in Honduras. He would make me laugh when I was stressed. Maria, he said one night, you are the strongest person I know. What you've been through and you're still standing. That's courage. I felt something. Something I hadn't felt in years. But I was afraid. Afraid to get closer. Afraid of being hurt again. July 2022. The case against the media outlet was settled out of court. I received significant compensation and public retractions. But the case against the Morrisons was different. They fought. They hired the best lawyers in Miami. They're going to try to destroy you again. Daniel warned me. They'll say you're just after money. That you're profiting from their tragedy. You need to be prepared. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Amanda and Richard testified. Their lawyers portrayed me as an opportunist. As someone who wanted to profit from their suffering. But Daniel was brilliant. He showed every headline. Every public accusation. Every interview where they suggested I was involved. He brought in experts who testified about the psychological impact of public defamation. And when it was my turn to testify, Daniel prepared me. Tell your truth, he said. In your own words. Let the jury see who you really are. I told them everything. The threats. The rock thrown at the window. The inability to find work. The nights spent crying. The trauma of being called a monster for something I didn't do. When I finished, there were tears in the eyes of some of the jurors. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they returned, the verdict was clear. The Morrisons were guilty of defamation and wrongful termination. The compensation, $3 million. Amanda cried in court. Richard turned red with anger. But justice had been served. After the verdict, Daniel and I left the courtroom together. There were reporters, cameras, questions. But all I could do was look at him. You did it, he said, smiling. You fought. And you won. We did it, I corrected. I never could have done it without you. That night, he invited me to dinner. Not to discuss the case, just to celebrate. We went to a small restaurant in Little Havana. We ate, laughed, and talked about everything except work. Maria, he said at the end of the night, these 9 months working with you have been the best of my career. Not because of the case, because of you. My heart raced. Daniel double quotes. I know it's complicated, he continued. I was your lawyer. And you've been through a lot, but I can't ignore how I feel. You're amazing. And I'd like to have the chance to get to know you better, not as a client. As Maria laters, I had spent 4 years rebuilding my life, brick by brick. But at that moment, I realized I wasn't just rebuilding. I was building something new. Yes, I said. I would like that too. Today, 3 years after the verdict, my life is completely different. With the compensation, I brought my children from Honduras. We bought a nice house in Coral Gables, ironically, in the same neighborhood where the Morrisons live. I opened a cleaning company that employs 15 people, all immigrants who needed a chance. And Daniel? We got married in May of 2023. It was a small ceremony. My children, his family, close friends. Nothing extravagant. Just love. He still works as a civil rights lawyer. I still wake up early. But now it's not to clean other people's houses. It is to wake up next to the man who fought for me when the whole world was against me. Sometimes I see the Morrisons from afar, in restaurants, at the supermarket. They look away. I don't know if it's shame or anger. It doesn't matter anymore. Lucas is 9 years old now. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's happy. And I hope that one day when he's older he'll understand what really happened. My honor was stolen. But through struggle, through pain, I recovered it. Not in the way you expected. Not through apologies that never came. But through legal justice. And through the love I found in the midst of the storm. This is my story. The story of the nanny who lost everything and rebuilt a better life. The story of the immigrant who faced injustice and overcame it. The story of the woman who found love when she least expected it. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. You can take my job. You can tarnish my name. You can make me suffer. But you can't break my spirit. You can't erase my truth. And you can't stop me from fighting. Because in the end, justice isn't just about money. It's about dignity. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing you did what was right. It's about finding happiness after pain. My name is María Elena Alvarez, and this is my truth. A truth of struggle, justice, and love.